This is a pretty straightforward amendment. It's been, I think, heard of before on the floor. It's regards to eligibility for the MFIP program, and I have to start out with a little bit of an interesting, not a story, but I've been receiving an awful lot of emails about different issues, and I've never received so many emails in all my life about something like this. And I'm not one to jump on the wagon when one or two people email, but when many of them do, I do take a look at it, and I seriously think we should consider this amendment. And what this really deals with is if you're going to be or apply to be a recipient of benefits with the county, that you simply have to provide a negative test result for drug testing to receive benefits. And after that, if you do receive a negative test, there would be a random test. And the reason I'm introducing this pretty straightforward, common sense amendment is that I think that the folks out there are very concerned about some of the folks that are using up our resources. I shouldn't say using up. That's probably not the term. However, if they are under the influence of drugs and or alcohol consistently, then I guess I do stand by them using up the resources that we could be using towards somebody who really needs to be taken care of and that isn't spending money on drugs and alcohol. So I'd stand for any questions, but I think it's pretty straightforward, and I think it's something that the taxpayers should at least expect before they start paying for the bills, and that's something that can be kept private. It isn't anything that has to be out there that that's going to be publicized or anything like that. You either pass the test, and if you do, the services will be given to you. So pretty straightforward. I asked for a green vote.
Were you asking for a roll call vote?
I'm sorry, roll call too. I'm sorry.
Roll call vote has been requested. Senator Berglund.
Mr. President, I rise to oppose this amendment. This will, first of all, this is not legal under the MFIP program federally. Second of all, this would require the counties to incur a considerable amount of costs to enroll people in the MFIP program, costs that would not be reimbursable through the MFIP program to the counties. And so I would urge you to vote against this amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment. Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to that point, if it were the county's responsibility, folks, this is a real good investment. It's a great investment for the agency that's going to be responsible for paying out a reasonable amount of money to folks and families that need it. And I think we should be focusing, especially this day and age when we have marginal resources to be able to deal with. And I think your county boards, if were approached, would not have a problem with that whatsoever. So I still think it's a good way to go. And again, I ask for your support.
Further discussion on the amendment. Further discussion. Senator Vandiver? No. Senator Olsen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would Senator Ingebrigtsen yield?
You will yield.
Senator Ingebrigtsen, we just heard you speaking earlier about the drug confiscation and people breaking the law. It sounds like Senator Berglund said that this would violate federal law if we did this. So I don't see. I guess I need more clarification that we'd be instituting something that's not legal to do. So I'd like you to address that more.
Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Olsen. I can't speak to that. I can't tell you whether it is against federal law or not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not. And if it's something we can do at the state level, I think we should pursue it. And this would be one fashion we can. This would be one step in that direction. I think it's reasonable. You ask anybody on the street, I think they're going to say, yeah, I think that's a reasonable request. It's not that terribly costly, and again, I think it would be a good investment. And it would also be an incentive for somebody who's not doing real well and has to have some assistance. I understand there's an awful lot of that, and there are those folks out there that have mental illnesses that we have to deal with, and I think Senator Berglund talked about that last year when this amendment was brought forward. But nevertheless, I still think it's something we should be looking at, and I'm not sure that we would have to follow the federal, the counties would have to follow the federal guidelines with something like this. I can't answer that. That was an awful long answer to say I don't understand what you're talking about, but I still think it's a good thing, and folks, I think it's something we could certainly work with.
Have all senators voted who desire to vote? Secretary will close the roll. There being 16 ayes and 44 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendments are not adopted.